through 75 counties and hundreds of investigations, from the most violent crimes to petty infractions. This is Arkansas Crime Watch with Kevin Kelly.
He hadn't even begun to live.
A week is past, and still a community mourns while trying to figure out why a man would shoot and kill a young innocent boy. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for watching Arkansas Crime Watch on Fox16.com. I'm Kevin Kelly. The shooting took place on May 1st after a man took the young boy hostage inside a home on Caron Court. And as our Alexis Wainwright reports, the man who pulled the trigger didn't just shoot the child. He also fired at responding officers who then returned fire, killing him.
Cell phone video of the moments police and a SWAT team responded to a hostage situation Friday.
I know a good 40 to 50 police officers. They were suiting up, putting their SWAT gear on. We saw them running through this way.
LRPD Chief Keith Humphrey says officers heard gunshots and entered the house out of concern for the safety of a child.
The officers immediately went there to try to see if they could calm the situation down. And as they were trying to do that, that's when they heard it became an active shooter situation.
According to police, this all started when a little boy's mom came to the police department and told police a man was holding her child hostage. Police then responded just after 6 p.m. on Caron Court in Little Rock.
It was a lot. It happened so fast and it was so close that it was just like, okay, do we need to go back in the house?
Police say that's when 32-year-old Brent Martin shot at the officers, so they returned fire.
And then all of a sudden I just heard, kind of just the sound of a machine gun. And I don't know, it was sad at the moment.
Chief Humphreys says police found the child inside another room with gunshot wounds, and they immediately performed life-saving procedures until he was taken to Children's Hospital, where he later died.
He's actually a little younger than my son, so it really kind of hit home, and I cried.
Disbelief and grief for Jessica Smith, who lives a block away from Caron Court, where 11-year-old Jordan Roberts lost his life.
They brought the boy out on the stretcher, and there was a paramedic running alongside the stretcher giving chest compressions.
Smith says it was hard to watch the incident unfold.
It was really scary. I kind of heard it was a hostage situation, but I didn't know how many people were inside, how many people were involved. Could he come outside?
As for Brent Martin, the man who police say shot and killed the 11-year-old boy, police have yet to say what his relationship is between the boy and his mother, but we do know all three lived at the house. It's also unclear what prompted him to take the boy hostage. But here's what we do know about Brent Martin. He was currently out on bond awaiting a bench trial on May 5th, which is just 4 days after he was shot and killed. That was for an aggravated assault and domestic battery charge involving the 11-year-old boy's mother. He was also issued a no-contact order, but that expired on April 21st. As for the officers involved, they have been identified as Officer Scott Detmer. He's been with the force for 23 years. The other is Lieutenant Dana Jackson. He's been with the department for more than 3 decades. Both are now on paid administrative leave as the shooting investigation continues. North Little Rock police need your help this evening finding a suspect who they believe shot a man to death last weekend. Officers say they found 24-year-old Keyshawn Cameron dead outside of a convenience store on 23rd and Pike Avenue. This taking place on May 2nd. A reward is now being offered for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of any suspect. If you know anything, you're being asked to call North Little Rock Police. Keep in mind you can remain anonymous. A new push this evening for help from state police and the family of a North Little Rock dad who was killed in a hit and run last month.
Please, whatever you can, just please help.
Anita Campbell is the sister of Irvin Brendel, speaking at State Police headquarters earlier this week. Brendel was killed along Highway 70 while he was out running. Investigators said they do have some good leads now. They believe the car involved was a 2003 to 2006 Cadillac Escalade or GMC Yukon with front end damage. In an interview with us just days after the accident, Brendel's sister begged the driver to turn themselves in.
Whoever did this, please turn in yourself and make it right. He was loved by so many. And we need this to be able to close out our hearts and move on with our life.
You can watch the full story on our website, fox16.com. And if you know anything about the crime, we've also put information on our website on how you can safely report that. In tonight's crime report, we begin with a would-be burglar who's now behind bars after falling through the roof of the business he was trying to target. According to the Saline County Sheriff's Office, 33-year-old John Reichard was attempting to burglarize Bennett Refrigeration on Arch Street. Deputies say he did get through the roof, but then he fell all the way to the floor. He then busted out the glass front door and took off. Deputies were able to locate him a few days later based on evidence that he left at the scene of the crime. He now faces charges of commercial burglary and criminal mischief in the first degree. A suspect wanted in connection to an aggravated assault with a vehicle charge is now behind bars. 28-year-old Jonathan Drake Smith turned himself into authorities earlier this week. Captain John Foster told me over the phone that Smith's girlfriend claims he tried to hit her with his truck. Smith, however, says she jumped in front of it. Smith remains in custody awaiting formal charges, but he could face battery in the second degree. He's also being held on a probation violation. In Conway, a judge has ruled no bond for two teens in custody in connection to the shooting death of 20-year-old Jason Sims. 19-year-old Ezekiel Taylor and a 17-year-old were arrested Friday. Police say on April 30th, the two teens lured Sims to the area of the Rock Creek apartments and then shot him. Both teens face several charges, including capital murder. In Saline County, a man is accused of crashing a car and then leaving behind a passenger who died and another person who was injured. Driston McPike is being held at the Saline County Detention Center. The sheriff's office says the crash happened on Goose Pond Road Thursday night. McPike faces a murder charge as well as other charges. In tonight's Crime Tracker report, Pine Bluff police make an arrest in a murder from last Monday. 39-year-old Lasheba Davis was booked into the Jefferson County Jail. She's facing a first-degree murder charge. Police say she shot and killed Elvis Kendall near 33rd and Hazel. Kendall was found in a car with multiple gunshot wounds. He later died at the hospital. And so far this year, there have been 10 homicides in Pine Bluff. But during the first 4 months of the year, the overall crime rate is actually heading downward. According to the Pine Bluff Safety Committee, there were 254 crimes reported in April compared to 366 in April of last year. Between January and April, robberies dropped from 31 in 2019 to 22 this year. Aggravated assaults also dropped during that same time period from 115 last year to 95 in 2020. The biggest drop in any category was residential burglary. There were 35 reported between January and April of last year, and so far this year, just 10. The police chief attributes the drop to the fact that people are home due to COVID-19. Before we leave you this evening, I have a story for you about a 5-year-old boy from Utah who did the unthinkable. His intentions, some might say, were good. His actions, far from it. In fact, you could say they were shocking and dangerous. But in the end, everyone is safe. And as Mike Anderson reports, despite what he did, he still got rewarded, sort of.
I know, I'm going to hear a lot about this one. Wow! 5-year-old Adrian Zamarripa getting to ride in a Lamborghini. They squeezed into the two-seater for a ride around the block. And it all happened because of this. Yeah, a 5-year-old did what his family never imagined, grabbing the keys, taking his parents' car, saying he wanted to drive to California to buy a Lamborghini.
I cried. I don't believe it. My son is in the freeway and my truck.
Adrian's dad, Joel Zamarripa, looked everywhere. Adrian's sister says she may never forgive herself, and social media is already on the offensive against them.
We went through a lot these past 2 days. Yesterday we didn't believe it. Today it was even harder.
But they couldn't turn down Jeremy Neve's offer.
Did you come to the driver's seat because you think you're driving?
to show Adrian what a real Lamborghini looks like.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not encouraging kids to go out and take their parents' car and do anything else that's illegal.
But he does see some potential in Adrian if pointed in the right direction.
But I'm absolutely inspired by, the principles that he displayed of success, of knowing what he wants, going after it.
Finding something positive in a big family scare. Adrian's family is grateful for the chance.
And I'm happy that he got to experience this. Despite everything that's happening, he got it.
By the way, police say no one was hurt in the incident. It's now up to the local prosecutor to decide whether to file charges against the boy's parents who had left him in his siblings' care while they were away from home. I can tell you that the boy has been grounded and was assigned a number of extra chores by his parents. Tonight's Mug of the Week goes to Jacoby Vaughn, who was booked into the Garland County Jail on May 5th. He faces a number of charges, including possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, simultaneous possession of drugs and firearms, and unauthorized use of another person's property to facilitate a crime. His bond set at $10,000. As we leave you, here's a look at Arkansas's most wanted. We want to remind all of you that all of the suspects you've seen tonight are innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. Remember, if you have any information on any of these cases we've talked about tonight, you're asked to call your local police department. Thanks for watching Arkansas Crime Watch. I'm Kevin Kelly. Be smart, be safe, and if you see something, say something. I'll see you tomorrow night on Fox 16 News at 5:30 and 9.